morning. Welcome to the Robert Saviola Show. My name is Eric Polanski. I'll be with you for this week and next week. Robert is supposed to be back then. I have Mike Miracle in the studio with me. Mike is the Free Group's law executive. One time, Mike told me, he was asked, what is a sovereign citizen? And his response was, there's no such thing. You're either sovereign or you're a citizen. And that was pretty profound for me, a very defining moment in my understanding. Mike, welcome to the show again.
Thank you.
We started with the sovereignty. Let's go there, and you can just, I'll shut up and you can talk.
Well, with the sovereignty, or the citizen, you forgot slave. Slave is also in there. You can be a slave or a subject. So there's a lot of names that you really don't want, and probably slave would be at the top of the list. And my idea was to be neither. A lot of people don't realize when they claim that they're U.S. citizens, they're claiming to be citizens of Washington, D.C.
As a U.S. citizen.
As a U.S. citizen. So you're a citizen of the corporation known as the federal government, which is in Washington, D.C.
That's on your passport, correct? U.S. citizen?
Even United States. They patented, copyrighted United States, U.S., Uncle Sam. There's a lot of words that they copyrighted that is used exclusively for them. If you go to Washington, they have what they call cornerstones there. And on the outside, it'll name the state facing the outside. And on the inside of the cornerstone will be United States. So the United States is only in that 10-mile square.
That's the U.S.
That's the U.S.
United States.
Yep, and that's what you're claiming citizenship.
It's a patented. Is it
copyrighted?
Copyrighted.
Yep.
Okay. Go on.
So that's why I claim that I'm not a U.S. citizen.
Because you don't live in the borders of D.C.
Well, a citizenship has allegiance to, and I have no allegiance to Washington per se.
Where is your allegiance?
Oh, to God.
Okay.
Simple as that. You know, you can only serve one master, according to the Bible.
Okay.
So, and citizen, they will kind of play with your mind, play with words. I've talked about the style manual that the government puts out. Lawyers write this. And even citizen written with a small c is pretty much the subject, slave. And the citizen that's written with a capital C only is a true freedom-loving person, one of the people, so to speak. I catch myself once in a while when I say person because that has a completely different meaning in law as it does outside.
You say that we are not a person. We are, if I'm ever in a situation and I'm addressed as a person, I correct them, and I say I'm one of the people.
You are one of the people. The Constitution says we the people, not we the persons. So what the law does, what lawyers do, is they twist words so that they have a different meaning. They call it legalese, or we call it legalese, which is a second language. They go to law school to learn it, and they're very adept at it, and they very rarely admit to the things that they're doing wrong.
Well, one example you gave of a legalese, I don't know if this is exactly fitting in this topic, but 2 plus 2, does it equal 4?
Correct.
And you can look at it, or you can hear it, and you would say, yes, 2 plus 2 is 4. I learned that in first grade. But the words written, does TO plus TOO equal FOR?
Right. So it sounds the same, just like your name sounds the same when it's written in all capital letters or it's written the proper way.
So when they say, are you Eric Polanski?
You don't know which one they're saying.
Which are you referring to? Me, right, or this all capital letter person,
or
which
straw
is
man.
Something that you incorporated on my behalf?
Yeah, we touched on that.
Without my consent.
Right, we touched on that in the last show. That's basically the straw man. It's in the legal dictionary. And it's a transmitting utility that they use to, well, extort money from you is about the best way I can put it. So once you learn what that means, and your straw man name is on your driver's license, it's on your utility bills, it's on any kind of debt you might incur. It's easy to track. It's on everything. I can't think of too many things when you're in commerce that name is not used.
Right.
You may be summoned to court using your correct name with the upper and lower case, but when you see the paperwork, it's not written like that. And they say that, well, we can't change that. That's just the way it's written. But of course they can change it.
So it matters if it's not in written. That's why they say a lot of times in writing. Is that true? The reason that things are in writing.
Absolutely, because you don't know. There's too many ways to change things with just speech. So writing is foolproof. Always get things in writing. It's the only way you're going to know where you stand, what you're dealing with, who you're dealing with. I recommend it very highly. And sign as few things as possible, because that's where you give up your sovereignty. The more you contract with the government, the more sovereignty you lose. They take it away from you. Every little piece, a little bit at a time. Whether it's a driver's license or any kind of license for that matter, any kind of permit, they want to control you. You're asking your servants for permission to do something.
That's the 14th Amendment citizen.
That's the 14th Amendment citizen. The small c.
It was created.
It was created right after the Civil War. And they did a lot of things that weren't really nice after the Civil War, and that's basically when the marriage licenses started, too. Now, a marriage license was unheard of before the Civil War. Everything was written in the family Bible, deaths, births, marriages, you name it. Everything went in the family Bible. And after the Civil War, they created this marriage license for the sole purpose so that a white could marry a black and a black could marry a white. That was the only reason. That was the permit. That was the license. So when you ask for a license, it's permission to do something that would be considered otherwise illegal.
And as you say, your allegiance is to God, who, according to you and me, gave you the right to marry, and who is the state to have you ask them permission, something that God gave you the ability and the right to do. Who are they to supersede God? They always try to be God.
Well, something about the marriage license that they don't tell you about is that it's created by the state. It's a three-way contract. It's between the man and a woman and the state. And God is pretty much out of the picture. So they created the contract. It's their rules. They're the only ones that can change it. And you sign away. So whatever becomes of that marriage is part theirs, and that counts for your children. And this is why CPS is out there. This is why they can get involved. They can come in and take your kids, do what they want to do, because your children from that marriage through the state belongs to the state also.
And you applied for that license.
Absolutely.
You gave them authority.
Absolutely. If you ever watch the minister, whoever gives you the vows, he watches that license or she watches that license like you can't believe. Because if they don't sign it, they can go to jail.
Well,
that's the control they have.
And that's why they take it away from you so fast, too, right?
They can't get it into their
sign
hands.
It. Thank you very much. Now on with the rest of your life with us. You're listening to the Robert Saviola Show. My name is Eric Polanski. I'm with Mike Miracle. We'll be back in a brief moment. Thank you. Well, welcome back to the Robert Saviola Show. I'm Eric Polanski in studio with Mike Miracle, the law executive for the Free Group. Mike, we were talking about, just before the break, we were talking about the Civil War. Would you like to continue, please?
I can. A lot changed. They started a new constitution for the federal government, and it mirrored the original constitution with a few small changes. And by doing that, they incorporated. So the federal government isn't really a government as much as it is a corporation and, believe it or not, a trust. It was founded as a religious trust of all things. I mean, that's laughable, but that's what they did. So because it is a corporation, it's a business, and everyone was crying the blues when Obama was maybe not necessarily born in Hawaii or wherever, saying he's from Kenya. Well, that really doesn't matter where he was born, because all he's going to do is be president of a corporation. That's what changed.
Amazing.
Well, to add to that, all the states, New York State, Alabama, every single state, finished incorporating under the federal government in the late 60s, 1960s. So I'm not going back to the 1860s. So the fact that they're corporations now, they don't have any sovereignty. They've given their sovereignty up. So states with the all capital states, capital S, T, A-T-E, they gave up their sovereignty to become a corporation. So that's why that's run like a business. All your small towns, whether it's Cheektowaga, Lancaster, or Tonawanda, whatever, they're not sovereign by any stretch either because they're all corporate. They're all listed on Dun & Bradstreet. They all have credit ratings. They all have stocks you can buy.
So it doesn't matter what the Constitution says anymore. This country was incorporated.
They presume it's incorporated. The republic is still there. They can't eliminate that. You're guaranteed a Republican form of government. So it's always going to be there. None of the offices are filled. In other words, New York State is still the state that you read in all the codes with the small letters, small S-T-A-T-E. That's part of that style manual, okay? And that's what the states were according to the Constitution. So they changed all that. The republic is still there, but there's no governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, or attorney general. No offices for the state are filled.
So
They're
this
empty.
corporation is masquerading as a government. Meanwhile, the true government is AWOL.
It's, yeah. What happened is it became de facto.
Or is it MIA?
It's there. It's there. It's just hidden. It can be probably brought up with enough people to do it, brought back to life as a second form of government, or actually a first form of government and non-corporate.
Okay.
So that's what you have to look forward to. I say do it. You certainly have more freedom. And the laws are truly laws. There's no statutes, rules, regulations, ordinances, millions of laws on the book when God himself only had a little over 700 laws you had to follow. We've come a long way.
So,
Good.
Mike, you've actually taken some steps to regain your identity, who you really are. You've handed in your license. What else are you doing? What have you done? Can you talk about that? We have about 5 minutes to go.
Sure. Turned in my driver license about 3 years ago now because it's basically only for commercial activity. If you're using the roads for profit, you do need a license. When they tell you need a license to drive, you do need a license to drive. But you have to understand what drive means. Drive is a commercial activity, just like operators, like tractor-trailer operators. They're owner-operators or they operate for somebody else. And drivers participate in commercial activities. So that's the only reason you truly need a license, to use the roads for profit. Other than that, you don't. Now, the vehicle and traffic stuff is my thing. That's what I really focus on a lot. And I don't want to get too heavy into that. I don't want a marriage license anymore. You can be married without a license, and the state recognizes it. Even the corporation recognizes it. Permits, whether it's for building or whatever, the only thing you need a building permit for, if memory serves me right, is an arsenal and a school. Other than that, you need a permit for nothing. When you buy property, you don't have to register it. Now, the county would like you to register it, but I can show you on the books where you do not have to register your property.
Okay.
Period. There's no way or shape or form that we're ever going to do that, ever. Because then you're opening yourself up to their jurisdiction. You start a business, what do? You register it as a DBA or you incorporate, and then the corporate thugs can come in, knock on your door, go through all your books, do whatever they want to do, as opposed to applying a trade. So the government cannot interfere with lawful contracts. So basically, if you want to do something, do it through a contract. You can't beat it. I'm going to start writing trusts for people.
That's the way to go. Trust.
It's truly the way to go, and I can tell you why, because the Catholic Church does it, the governments do it, everything's a trust. Your automobile is in a trust.
And they do it because it works, I suppose.
It works like a charm. And any trust that I write would be a common law trust.
What's the benefit of a trust?
It protects you. It keeps you outside statutory jurisdiction. A common law trust, a lawful trust, can't be touched by the courts.
It's similar to sovereignty.
it is sovereignty all over again. It's a contract. So, and the government can't interfere with any of those lawfully.
Yet the main thing that you tell me is where the real hooks are is the Social Security number. That's
the number one from what I've read. That's where they really get you. They will consider you to be a federal employee because you have that. And you search out their statutes and you read them, the sections of them, and if you read them enough, you're going to find out that, hey, this doesn't apply to me. You don't need your Social Security card to get a job. You don't need it. And the Social Security card is not supposed to be used for any identification under any circumstances. And, if you go to look at Title 12, which is banking, it tells you that that dollar in your pocket, that Federal Reserve note, that debt note that you carry around so proudly, is the obligation of the United States government. It's not yours. So convert it to lawful money. It's not a dollar. According to the rules, it's not a dollar. It's a debt note.
Well, folks, you heard it here. You're listening to the Robert Saviola Show. We'll be back in a moment.